What's going on, guys? So the camera's on, you're here, I'm here, so it's time for another big announcement from King Jabberwocky Books. I want to start this video off by answering a question that seems to be on everybody's mind, and one that I get asked the most ever since The Crystal Rose came out. And that would be, what is the future for Wonderland? Is the Allen series done? And without giving too much away, I'll just say that no, the Allen series is not done. Hopefully, far from. And I will leave all that mystery to another video, because that's not what we're here to talk about today. What we are here to talk about is the new original concept for a book called The Wilds of Gilleigh Loch. So, I don't think it's a huge secret that The Crystal Rose took a lot out of me. It was very taxing on my imagination. Dealing with all the death and the dark themes that surround the book, coupled with the not so great things that were happening in my life at the time, personally, mixing those two things together, it wore me out, and took quite a bit out of me. So I decided that for my next book, I was going to take a break from Wonderland and focus on something different, something new, and hopefully something happier, just to kind of cleanse my mind from all the darkness and the sadness and the death and the blood and the guts and the whatever. So I started thinking about what I wanted to do, and a kid's book popped into my head. Doing a kid's book popped into my head. And the thing about that is that I've never really been good at writing kids' things, because I, have a very specific way of writing. I use a lot of sarcasm and adult type humor that is obviously catered to the older audience. So I thought writing something and putting something together for children would be something out of my comfort zone and a bit of a challenge for me. And I wanted to see if I could pull it off. So I figured the best way to figure things out is actually have some conversations with some friends of mine who are moms, to kind of get an idea of what children's books are like, and what works and what doesn't work and stuff like that. Excuse me, I gotta get a little drink here. Anyway, what does work and what doesn't work, so I could try and piece something together and get an idea of how it all works. And basically the conversations in a nutshell all kind of went the same way. Is that, if you can write a child's book that the child that's reading it is going to love, that's great. But something else you really need to focus on is the parents, because they are the ones that have to read the book 500 to 1,000 times. Like, they have to literally wear the words off the pages if their child likes it. So something you can't forget is the parents. And they said that a big problem that they have with their children's books is they themselves don't have a reason to care. Obviously, the children is going to care about the cute character, the bright and colorful world they live in and all that stuff. But the parents don't really have any reason to care. They don't understand why the characters are there, how they got there, or why they should care about what the character is going through. And so I took that home. I found that aspect very interesting, and I took that home and I chewed on it for a little bit. And that's when I came up with a very ambitious idea, that being to essentially write 2 books in one, where the outer part of the book is kind of that origin story for the adults or the older readers. Older kids could read it as well. But to have the outer portion of the book be that origin story that's catered to them, and the middle being the children's book. And so yeah, the idea is to just basically, excuse me again. The idea is to just basically be a wholesome story that the entire family can read. Your older kids can read, the older kids or you as the adult can read the outer part of the book so you can get an understanding of why the middle one exists, essentially. And as far as the plot for the story goes, I don't have everything figured out. Obviously, I'm kind of leaving things to figure out as I go, but I do have the kind of bare frame of the plot, and obviously I'm probably going to say this a couple times, but you will get the full summary of the book, the finalized one when the book is ready to come out. I always make sure that I put that out there for you guys to read and decide if you're interested. But the plot for the Wilds of Gilleigh Loch essentially it's about this young kid named Lakin, who is probably about 17, on the cusp of being a man, that next level in his life, excuse me, and he's trying to figure everything out. And his family, excuse me again, isn't really what I would consider poor, but they live well within their means. And when they stumble onto some financial trouble, he decides that he needs to help his family out by getting a summer job. So he goes through the paper and finds a help wanted ad for kind of a caretaker and a handyman for an elderly Scottish woman named Gilleigh. And basically his job is to just fix up things around the house, do everything that she can, and just make sure that she's well, just to take care of her, make sure she's okay. And so through this job, and as time goes on, they become close friends. And he, as far as his future, has ambitions to go to school and be a writer. So as time goes on, like I said, they become close friends, and he really starts to notice a lot about Gilleigh's land and the wildlife there. And the more he notices little things, the more he gets the idea to write a children's book about the land and the wildlife there, which is basically how we get from the outside of the book to the inside. So the inside, the children's book, which we will talk about more in another update video, more in depth. The inside of the book is going to be about the animals that are around Gilleigh's house and on her land. And the outside is, of course, this origin story that deals with Lakin getting the job, working for Gilleigh, becoming her close friend, and essentially writing a book about Gilleigh Loch. So yeah, like I said, it's meant to be a very wholesome experience that the entire family can read, the entire family can enjoy. And yeah, so, you know, it doesn't matter what age you are, whether you're an adult, whether you're an older, teenager, whether you're a small child. My hope is that you can get something out of it and enjoy it together as a family. That is the number one goal here for this book. As I said, I don't have everything figured out right now. I am planning to figure things out as I'm writing, because things tend to fall into place that way, really. But so an example of some things that I haven't necessarily figured out is the place where it is going to happen, where the book takes place, or the time period that it takes place. And you know what? Maybe I will use this as a audience participation thing and put some polls up to ask you guys what you think. Should the Wilds of Gilleigh Loch take place in a real-life city or a fictional one? And should it take place in present day or a different time period? Maybe I'll put that up in polls and let you guys decide and kind of figure things out based on what you guys pick. So yeah, as far as an announcement goes, that's going to about wrap it up. A couple things that I would say in closing is that, if you're watching on YouTube and this book really interests you and it's something that you want to follow and you want to know more about, I strongly encourage you guys to go over to my Facebook page, because that is where I am going to post the day-to-day updates when I start working on things. As far as YouTube goes, I probably won't say another word about it on here until the book actually comes out. So if you want to stay up to date on everything and really get an idea of what's going on from start to finish with this book, definitely head to my Facebook page, because that is where all the updates are going to be. Another thing that I just want to throw out there, of course, as always, is just mention that being that I'm working on another book, it's not going to change the fact that the Alan series, Alan in Wonderland and the Crystal Rose, are still available on Amazon right now, and they will be till the end of time. So if you haven't picked up those books yet, there's no pressure. It's not like they're gonna go away because I'm working on something else. But if you want to support me, you can always check out my Amazon um, links. I think I have a store button set up on my Facebook page that'll take you there. And I have the button up above in my banner on YouTube. So if you want to support me and pick up a book, that's how you do that. As always, though, if money's tight, which I wouldn't blame you if it is these days, and you can't support me with money as far as buying something, there are still plenty of ways that you can support King Jabberwocky Books, support me free of charge. Of course, like the Facebook page, like the Facebook group, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Instagram. Pretty much anywhere that you use on the internet, I'm pretty sure that we are. So just look us up, follow us, and at the very least, spread the word. Tell your friends, tell your family about the books on Amazon. Tell them about the Wilds of Gilleigh Loch, the new book that I'm working on. Really, if you know a young mom or young parents with a young child that are looking for a new children's book to read, a new experience, let them know what I'm doing, because ultimately this is for them. I know that I have a lot of young parents as friends that need something new to read. So that demographic is definitely my inspiration for this book. But if you're, a grandparent that needs a new book to read when the grandkids come over, or an aunt or an uncle, doesn't really matter. Or if you don't have kids in general at all, and just want a good, wholesome, fun book to read, I think this one's going to be for you. So yeah, just don't be afraid to check us out. Don't be afraid to spread the word. I think it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to seeing where things are going to go in the project. So until the next update, guys, we'll see you around.